Back in 2022, as some of you will remember, I interviewed Courtney. She was a client who was early on in her Calm AF transformation. Courtney and I had been working together privately, and at one of my retreats, we did a future self visualization. And when I do these visualizations, I have clients go out 3, 4, 5 years into the future and imagine if your life felt the way you wanted it to feel. What do you notice? Where do you live? Who are you with? What feels different? And when Courtney did the visualization, one of the things that she saw very clearly was a completely different house. We talked a lot about that in her first interview, which I will link in the show notes if you'd like to go back and listen, because what was almost magical was the way that that vision unfolded. She saw it very clearly, and within months, she actually found the house. And a few months later, she was living in it. Now, what we didn't really talk about too much back then was the other thing that she saw very clearly, which was that she was no longer married. Now, this wasn't something that shocked her, but in that moment, all of her doubt disappeared and she just knew. And within 24 hours of returning home from the retreat, she told her husband she wanted a divorce. And then life happened. A lot happened. And I asked Courtney to come back and talk about the last 3.5, 4 years, because this is the part that people need to hear the most. Because when you think about transformation, a lot of times people imagine the breakthrough moment, the decision, that moment you finally decide, I can't do this anymore, or I want something different, I'm done. And that is a big deal, but it's not actually the hard part. It's the scariest part, but the hard part's what comes after. It's kind of like skydiving. The scariest moment is when you're standing at the edge of the plane trying to convince your nervous system to jump. And honestly, sometimes people just need a little boop, a little nudge. But once you jump, from making the decision to jumping, that part is scary but fast. The hard part is the free fall, because after you've jumped, what happens next doesn't usually feel peaceful or neat and tidy while it's happening. It feels disorienting, sometimes exciting, sometimes terrifying, but always messy, because you're in that strange middle part where your old identity is falling away faster than your new one feels solid. So in this time, old patterns show up. Your nervous system tries really hard to bring you back to what feels familiar, and you have to practice diligently trusting yourself before your nervous system is fully on board. So this conversation, fast forward almost 4 years later, Courtney is divorced. Her kids are 4 years older. She's living in a completely different house than the one she originally visualized, and a million other things have happened in between. And I asked Courtney to come back on the podcast to talk about this messy middle, about learning to trust herself, to trust the process, and the importance of having consistent support and community while everything around her was changing. And that support is why I created that Calm AF community, because we all need help in the middle. Transformation is not one breakthrough moment and then everything changes forever. You need support. You need reminders that just because doubt pops in your mind doesn't mean you have to listen to it. And sometimes you need to see someone a few years ahead of you to remember what's possible if you just keep showing up. This is part 1 of my conversation with Courtney. If you're interested in hearing more about her journey and other Calm AF Life transformations, click the link in the show notes, and once those episodes are available, you will be notified. All right, let's catch up with Courtney.
I re-listened to the podcast yesterday, and last night I was sitting down and writing out my timeline. I mean, there's so much that's happened and changed and kind of some crazy coincidences. It was almost 4 years exactly from that first one we did to the one we just did to the day. So there's just some
Wow.
weird, and then the day we found the house and I talked to you about it, like the house we moved into was exactly 2 years to the day that had this, like, nervous breakdown of buying a house. Like,
Oh
it's
my
just kinda
God.
weird, like, just putting those pieces together,
Timeline.
yeah, there's so many crazy things that are just like, wow, that's, it's interesting. That's
It's
for sure.
so interesting. I also don't think that it's coincidence that these
Yeah.
things line up that way. It shows what we go through. It shows cycles of this is what I thought, and then this is what I realized, and then circle all the way back around. This is
Mhm.
this is the outcome.
Mhm. Yeah. Me finding myself in that year after the podcast was huge, and that
Yeah.
was when I found the mom community, just gave me
Yep.
chills that, people started coming into my life that I needed and didn't know I needed until a year later when everything,
Yeah.
came crashing down. Um, Crashing down, but really building up.
It had to crash down.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Um, yeah, so, like, finding myself is part of it, trusting the process and trusting my body when, like, the moment I knew this kinda goes back to the retreat, like, I knew I had to ask for a divorce right then, and I did.
Mhm.
And then the same thing kinda happened that October, like, I got that feeling, and I was so scared, in limbo forever, and it was just I was driving one day, and it snapped, and I was like, "I have to trust myself," and I did it 2 hours later. And
Good.
so there's, like, that piece of, like, trusting when you know, and when you're aligned. Um,
You're the example of what it looks like to show up for this process long term. And what that looks like is taking an action and then sorting through it, right? You came home from the retreat knowing I need a divorce. How long had you been thinking about this prior to that? And then you came home, you did the thing, and then life happened, and there was limbo, and then there was, oh, but maybe there's something we can do. And that doesn't mean that when you made the decision, you were wrong. That doesn't mean there's a problem that you went through that limbo. Like, that's what it looks like. When you decide something and then you move forward, that doesn't mean that it's all wrapped up in a pretty bow
right.
immediately. That's part of being the human and letting yourself question.
I didn't know what was gonna happen financially, like, all those pieces fell right into place too, which is just crazy looking back at how that worked. That cycle continues into, like, when I started dating
Yeah.
and that whole
Yes.
cyclical pattern, and it's like it took me another 2 years to trust myself to leave that and know that that's not right, and I'm back in that old story.
Yep.
Um, there's so many different things that stood out,
Yeah.
and, like, when we went to court and I was finally telling my truth and the judge didn't believe me, and it was the worst, like, worst day of my life. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had this foundation. Like, I don't know. And I thought, like, it was gonna be years past that, like, when things were gonna happen, and just everything happened so fast after that. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like something flipped, like, "All right, let's go. Let's do this. Like, I'm not staying here." But there were, like, periods of time that I did kind of go by the wayside, and I obviously keep coming back
Yep.
because I know this is what works.
Yes.
This is what it does. But it's, kind of the
It's
same thing
just
as, like, taking psych meds. Like, you think you're doing great, and
yes.
then you get off of it, and then you're like, "Why is life so, like, swirling around me?" And then you're like, "Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably get back to that."
Totally. And this isn't just a you thing. This is like what we're kind of programmed to do. But when you're used to looking at everything transactionally, like if
Mhm.
I do this, then I'll feel better. And then you're like, okay, well, now I feel better. So I don't need to do this anymore.
Right.
When we are so used to going through everything that way, it's a pretty normal part of the cycle to pull back and think, I got this. I'm doing this. And it's not that you don't have it, it's that life will pull you back to your old patterns. It's like if you brush your teeth once and you're like, my teeth are super clean now. now I don't
Mhm.
have to do it anymore. No, the way to take care of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health is to have habits that are consistent that you keep doing, whether it feels like you're in an emergency situation and you really, really need it right now, or
Yeah.
when you're in the situation where everything is going well and it doesn't feel like you need it. It's such a normal thing. And on our call this morning, I was talking about how many people that I've worked with over the years come back. Everybody comes back because they're like, when did things start feeling like I had a hold on them or they starting to go in the right direction is when I was doing this. Why did I stop it? Oh, because we're programmed to think that like we get what we want and then we don't have to do anything anymore. What if you just stop doing that?
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Yeah, and it's not even, like, intentional. It's
No.
life gets busy and
Yeah.
it just starts things stop taking care of yourself like you did
Yep.
previously, and
Yeah, and the
all that.
thing is, it's not like, "Oh, now I have to start all over." Like, we just start where you left off. Or the best option is to just not stop because it's
And
not
the
that hard,
community comes in, like, I
you know?
remember, like, that's the piece that kind of kept me attached, like, there
Yeah,
is a community still there.
yeah, and it's fascinating, isn't it? How that's the thing that gets forgotten.
Mm,
You're so not used to being taken care of without, in turn, having to take care of someone else.
right,
That it's the thing that you let go of first, the thing that actually takes care of you.
right,
This pattern is gonna keep coming up.
right. Yeah,
Wild.
exactly. Yeah.
The minute you realize that this pattern is just going to be a thing, no matter how much time I spend regulating my nervous system and feeling my feelings and rewiring my thoughts, I can basically bet this pattern is gonna keep coming up. It's not going anywhere. We
Yeah.
just get better at recognizing it. And so after you are divorced and your first time you're dating someone, you easily settle back,
Mhm.
and then the second person you're dating, it starts to feel and you're like, "Wait a second."
Mhm.
Um, and it's just you're just learning quicker, but this is a survival pattern. It's not going anywhere, but you're shrinking the amount of time that you're
Yeah.
spending there. It's like each
Right.
time you're getting to the place where you trust yourself quicker.
Mhm.
And when every week you're showing up to this group of people who knows you, and
Mhm.
the whole reason why you're there is because of this pattern, it's much easier to not get so far out. Like if we were comparing this to physical health, right? Like I've been eating healthy and exercising and I lost all this weight. And then I had a week where I'm like, oh, I don't need to, but it's been a week.
Mhm. Right. Well, and that kind of thinking physical too, like, I had my identity wrapped up in certain things, like the triathlon,
Yeah.
and I think it's taken these last 2 years to kind of unwind that, and I've just had to really think through, like, why is that so attached to me? Why do I need that? It's an extreme, right? It's an
Mhm.
extreme, whereas I wanna have fun and just I don't want this to be something that's not fun. I don't know, once you look at it a different way, it's like, I don't need to put that I do triathlons on my dating profile because I don't. And I work out for fun now.
Yeah.
And one day I might get back there and that's great,
Yeah.
but not like I need to do it to feel okay because I don't.
Yeah. You
And I
don't.
think that took a
And
while too.
you just keep recognizing your patterns. And this is why I always say, I'm like, when you are looking to change something in your life and you look at like, is it relationships? Is it work? Is it health? Is it money? It really doesn't matter where you start a transformation because it really usually boils down to like one pattern. So I go all in on my relationships and I go all in on my physical training or physical
Mhm.
fitness. I go all in. And it's like that probably is a part of how you're wired. But
Mhm.
we also know that it's loaded with dysregulation.
Mhm. Right.
And
Exactly.
it's it's so predictable, but
Mhm.
our brains think this is new, this is different. Like, it's not. It's not
Yeah.
different,
Yeah. And
right?
that's
It's like these.
why we need people to tell us it's not, because sometimes you don't see it.
That's right. And that's why showing up all the time, no matter if things are going amazing or if things are, in the toilet, that is why.
Right.
I think everything that we've already talked about is
Mhm.
important, but I think, people got to hear you in early stages, right? When
Mhm.
you're like, I'm showing up and I'm in the airplane, I've gotten the training, I'm standing right at the edge of the airplane ready to jump out,
Yeah.
and I've jumped out. And this is what happened, right? Like, this is what it looks like when you free fall, when you really just do the thing. This is what it's going to look like long term, because you've jumped out of the plane and gone back in, and you've jumped out and you've gotten back in. And now you're like,
Right. Like dating right now, I've been going back up in the airplane and not sure
totally.
what my jumping point's gonna be, and I know that, but I'm secure and know what to do.
You're never going to be in a place where you don't feel like you're relearning something again.
Right. Mhm.
You're still a human living in a human world surrounded by other humans, and you've got a nervous system and an ego and fear. The only thing that we can count on basically is that everything's always changing.
Mhm.
And it's usually not just going in one direction.
Mm.
And you might have jitters and you might need a little boop, just, nudge you out of the plane. But who cares? The point is just to remember that this too shall pass.
Yep. Stop overcomplicating it.
It's not that complicated.
Right.
It's not like I need to learn a new way to skydive. Like, we're going to do somersaults when we jump out. Okay,
Mhm.
but you still need to like open your parachute at some point.
Right.
The only thing that should change is that that technique should enhance your experience. It shouldn't
Mhm.
replace.
Right.
Like, the
Well, that's
rest
like
of it
with
is for fun.
relationships too, like,
Yeah,
thinking about, like, dating right now is, like, it has to enhance.
has
Like,
to.
that's that's the end of it. Right. Yeah, and, like, seeing that pattern and recognizing it that you're like, "Well, I might
Totally.
not be on my timeline and
Yes.
might be taking longer than I think, but, like, there is something good ahead.
Yep.
I'll be going forward at some point. I just don't see it yet." And you just learn like, you know how to move on quicker
Totally.
and feel those feelings and then, "All right, let's
Yep.
go again."
Yes. Let's go again. All right. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Courtney. And make sure, if you are interested in hearing more of it, you click that link in the show notes. And honestly, I hope more than anything that if you are in your own messy middle right now, this episode reminded you that uncertainty doesn't automatically mean you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it just means your nervous system is catching up to a life that your soul already knows you're ready for. If you want that support in the middle, enrollment for Calm AF Life will be opening for 3 days in June, and I would love to support you inside the community. All right, I will talk to you next time.